All right, what's going on? We're live here with Mike Gray today. We talked kind of a little bit on a TikTok live, and then we decided just to do a podcast together. Mike, I think you're Army veteran, right? If I'm not mistaken, did I read that wrong?
Nope. Nope.
You're
Nope. Not an Army vet.
really? That's what it said for you when I brought you up. Well,
Oh, really?
there goes. Thanks for your service on that one. So,
I'm an industry veteran, so maybe that's what it
did
was.
you work at SBI too, or no?
Yeah, so I'm currently an agent for SPI Logistics.
Okay,
I've been there for like 6 years.
okay.
So, and you want me to get into my background a little bit, or?
Just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit, and then
Yeah,
also
yeah. I'll just
busloads.ai, but we're gonna get into that a little bit later. First, I kind of
sure.
just want to get into the normal stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I cut my teeth in trucking at 19 years old, got my CDL, ran my dad's trucking company for about 17 years, flatbed company out of the Northwest. And then I ran into Dan Lewis, who ended up being the CEO of Convoy right after I stopped working for my dad. I was on the founding team of Convoy. I was the 12th employee there, stayed till we were like 1,100 employees, went to work for Motive. And a lot of people don't know it, but Motive ELD actually had a brokerage, and I was part of that. And also worked for LoadSmart, big box brokerage out of Chicago, and I just got sick of working for other people and doing my own thing. And I'm an agent for SPI, and I've also been an owner operator in there as well. So
Like driving
kind of been
trucks,
around the world. What's that?
driving trucks.
Yeah, yep. Still got a CDL in my
Oh, well,
pocket. So yep, I could get in
perfect.
the truck right now and take off with
Yeah,
it.
because we're doing. Is that better? Oh, try to reconnect. Hold on, my TikTok's messing up. Why is my TikTok? There you go. Hey, connected. Is my mic still low or not? If just let me know. I kind of raised the volumes on it. I tried lowering it for it, but whatever it is, what it is. But kind of wanted to get into it because you were on the TikTok live, right? When we were talking about all that. Was it the crazy episode when all that crazy stuff went down, or no?
I don't know. I'm pretty new to TikTok. I've been on it for like a week, and
Okay.
just started posting some stuff, and it's kind of resonating with a lot of people. So,
That's good,
uh,
man. That's good. Keep it going, dude. Don't give up. It's a struggle at first, but I think I looked at your page, man, for just not being on there long. You're doing good, dude. So keep it up, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna take off for a little bit. But kind of since we got you on here and you're a freight broker, I kind of wanted to get into damn, they're saying no audio on my end. That's crazy, dude. Like at all,
huh.
no audio. What did I do wrong, dude? I thought I did everything right. Oh, there you go. Never mind. I think I can fix it. It's only on TikTok, but hold on. Unmute. Yeah, I have no. Oh, that's probably why I gotta fix the audio in here somewhere, but I don't know where to fix it. Add primary speakers, microphone. Then we're gonna have to cut a lot of this shit out on for YouTube, unfortunately.
No
Uh,
worries.
add microphone. There you go. Now wait, is it gonna be? There you go. Now I got audio. Okay, sorry guys. There you go. Now we got audio. So editor guy cut all this shit out before that. But okay, so let's go. So we were talking about like freight brokerage stuff. And
Yeah.
the big topic right now is like freight broker transparency. And it's like a big thing that everybody's like arguing about right now. So I kind of wanted to
Mhm.
get this out of the way, discuss this with you as well, because like I'm gonna tell you
Do
just
it.
my opinion on it a little bit. Is I just think they're arguing about the wrong thing because
Yeah.
they keep on arguing about the freight broker transparency, right? And say even though they get it, right? Say they do get it, they take it to court, they win it, they start like forcing this, freight broker transparency. So what's going to happen when all these carriers ask for it? Two things, in my opinion. One thing is freight brokers are going to stop using them, right? Because they have
100%. That'll be the
lawfully
last load they get. Yeah.
rightful to refuse to do business with them. Second thing is a bunch of these like dummy carriers are going to go after that customer, back solicit
Mhm.
them, and then it just so happens a lot of these people are friends. So that customer is going to tell that broker. That broker is going to sue the crap out of the trucking company. At least 1,000, 100,000, 150,000 for a lawyer. They're going to lose a lawsuit, lose a bunch of money, and go out of business. So I just don't think it's going to work out for them as they plan. But let me know what you think.
I think you're spot on. And I would add another like caveat to that as well, that like a lot of it's super common for a trucking company to have a brokerage as well. Like if you got like say 10, 20 trucks, like you probably have a brokerage as well. So, you know, it's just going to be you're taking the customer lead and the pricing and all this information, right? And that carrier who's also a broker is going to get all that information and give it to their brokerage.
Yeah.
So you're just like, you're taking it from one brokerage to another, and you're just like passing that information along. And like, so let's say if a carrier gets the rate confirmation, the rate details from the shipper, what are they going to do with it? Like, I don't, that's what I don't understand. Like, What are you going to do with it?
And that's like giving away kind of like trade secrets, bro. Because this is like something you earned. You look for the customer, and then you want us like to give everything to the carrier, like who's booked the load, for example. And then you worked for all this, and all of a sudden they have a lead or they have the direct info to like the customer. That's crazy to me.
Well, even at that, like, I mean, I'm super transparent with all of my customers. Like, I charge 15 to 20%. My average over the course of the year, I just closed out my fiscal year, and I'm 18%.
That's
For the year.
18% is really good.
Average. And I tell my shippers right up front, I'm 15 to 20%. You know, if it's like a $7,000 load, I usually go more towards the 15%. If it's like 1,000 or 1,500, I'll bump it up to 20, you know, because it just kind of makes it a little more palatable on those high dollar loads, you know. Get a team step deck load going across the country. It's pretty big bucks. But yeah, I don't really understand. You know, if anything, like, they should be, in my opinion, if they want to shut down the brokers, right? If anything, they should be, you would think the shippers, they're the one who's paying the bill. Like, the shipper is the one who should see the rate. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'll bet you, like, I would be willing to bet the vast majority of shippers would not care.
No, I don't think so. They're paying for convenience, right? I mean, that's obviously what they're paying for. And then you said SBI, you're agent for SBI. I mean, SBI has been in business for quite some, 15 plus years, I'm guessing, because I remember them.
45.
Yeah, because I remember them, like, when I
45 years.
I started 20 plus years from what I could at least remember when I entered the industry. They've been around because I remember, seeing their name. So, like, and then, like, they're thinking there's no overhead. They're thinking like a freight broker just works from like their mom's basement in their underwear and doesn't do anything, right? But they don't like understand that a customer won't even talk to a company that has 3, 4, 5 trucks. Like, they don't want to hear about it. I mean, like, big broker SBI, I'm sure you guys got your own, like, your own custom TMS system. There's, stuff you guys offer, agents, a list of carriers, so on and so on, trusted name, good credit. You know what I mean? And so you're able to take that from the customer and then spread it to your network of carriers instead of the customer. You think a customer is going to get 1,000 loads a month and go give it to 600 little companies that have 2 or 3 trucks? They're not going to want to do that.
Yeah, I actually made a video about this earlier, and kind of went on a little bit of a rant. But I've worked with shippers from like the super small shippers who have like 3 loads a month, all the way to like people who spend $500 million a year. And, I'm of the belief that there's a ton of opportunity out there for owner operators and small trucking companies to go work directly with the shipper. And there's like absolutely nothing stopping them from doing that. And I'm not just saying that to be a smart aleck. Like, I actually believe that. And I've done that myself. Like, if you get a broker that shows up at a shipper, say a medium-sized shipper, you get a broker that shows up at a shipper, and you get a carrier that shows up at a shipper, a small to medium-sized carrier.
Mhm.
Like, these shippers get inundated with brokers all day long. They're so sick of brokers calling them. Like, they would, a lot of them would actually love to talk to a trucking company, and that's something that I've done in my life is had trucks, and it helps me to get in the door with shippers. And I'm pretty transparent with them that I also have a brokerage, and, just kind of building that relationship and that rapport with your shippers, and you kind of end up being that industry expertise. But, like, I think so. The video I did earlier, it's like, I think that guys who want transparency and they think that brokers don't have a place in the industry, I think that they really don't understand the industry. And
No,
I
they
don't
don't
mean
at
that
all.
in a negative way, because there's a
I
lot of
do.
stuff about the
I mean
industry
it in
I
a
don't
negative way.
understand.
I don't care.
Like, I don't understand drayage, like, at all. That doesn't mean somebody else should do something different with drayage. But, like, I just want to run down an example of like what it's like to work for a big shipper. So, like, annual RFP, and you can cut me off if I'm rambling here.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Knock yourself out, bro.
So, like, to do the rates, like, it's not like working with a broker where you call and just say, hey, that, they've got it posted for 15. You're like, hey, can you do 18? And you settle somewhere around 17. That's not how this works with shippers. Like, you have your rate for the entire year
Mhm.
with that. And you might bid on, I've been a part of like InBev, which is arguably one of the largest shippers in this country. And there's a ton of shippers like this. They are not the only one. You have to bid on 10,000 different lanes.
And win a percentage of it to even get, like, I know a lot of customers will do that. If you don't win like 5%, 3% of the bid,
Yeah.
they don't even want you in the bid, period.
Yeah. And then, so when you're awarded, you're awarded primary, secondary, or backup, or, or then it goes to the spot. So if you're primary on a lane, or let's say you're awarded primary on 15 lanes, right? Or whatever the number is, right? Each lane might have 1,000 loads a year. You know what I mean? And you have to accept 90% of those loads. So like my question would be for the guys who want to, think there isn't a place for an intermediary, like how would we do that? You know what I mean? Like a legit, honest question. Like how would a guy with 3 trucks work with that type of a shipper?
He won't. He can't. And even if they're like a smaller trucking company, like you said, like so, even if that shipper wants to work with them, what's more convenient? Calling a broker to get a truck there every single time that the customer asks for, or keep on calling this small trucking company and they're like, oh, sorry, we're not in area. Sorry, we're not in area. What are you going to do? Call 20, 30 like small trucking companies before they get one guy that's actually in the area? Like, you know what I mean? And then you have the customers that just mass email the cheapest rate. I mean, those like I don't even personally mess with. I don't even want to bother with them because you're
There's a
never.
bunch of shippers like that. They're
Yeah,
garbage.
which is pointless. You know what I mean? So like, it's just I don't think they like truly understand both sides of it. You know what I mean? They're just looking at it like one way, and they just keep on pushing the stuff that's so not important. Because again, like I said, dude, like once a couple of these guys actually get sued for back soliciting, they're really not going to understand because that's what they're pushing for. Because they want to see that. I almost guarantee it. They want to see that customer information so they can hit up the customer and they think they know what they're doing, but they're not going to even know how to handle these customers if they got them. You know what I mean? Unless they have 100, 200, 300 trucks.
Yeah, you can't make a measurable distance or difference for that shipper. And if you don't have, you're kind of better off building a relationship with a good broker than you are with a super big um, shipper. And there's, somebody's going to say something and, that I would disagree with, like to prove me wrong. But you know what I mean? Like in transportation, you have to speak like in big generalities when we're talking about stuff like this. But like, so I'll give you an example. So like I was really early in Convoy and I was I was the only guy who really understood trucking very early on and through most of that company's existence. And a lot of what I did was to help this big tech company understand trucking because they don't understand it at all, like really. And the original like one of the original ideas with Convoy was to be a marketplace, to essentially do what they're saying, like to match truckers with a shipment and do it through an app, just
Yeah.
like Uber or Lyft, right? And that's kind of what they did. But here's the kicker. You cannot do that if you're a broker. If you're not a broker, like you legally have to be a broker to do that. You cannot take the
Or
shipment
freight
information.
forwarder too. You know what I mean? But it's like I get what you're saying,
You got to
but
be a broker or a
yeah.
carrier or a shipper,
Yeah, Convoy
right?
had a real like I'm surprised they went under, man. Convoy, like they had a lot of money behind them too. I think like Amazon was behind them as well, right? I know like Jeff
Oh yeah,
Bezos
they
money
had
and
when it comes to startups in the United States, they were the 5th largest startup failure in the history of the United
oh
States. They got
wow.
$1.1 billion in funding. And yeah, it was I had not worked there for 3 or 4 years. A lot of people kind of got off the ship as they saw it wasn't going the right direction and probably headed to shore to be crashed into a reef,
What do you think went wrong there? If you don't want me, like, if you don't mind me asking.
I mean, I I was like in the original, on the founding team. I was the last person to get the founders deal there. I was 12th employee. So I know pretty much exactly what happened. They were spending way too much money. And so when you talk about like data scientists and stuff like this, they had a bunch of data scientists and engineers, and these people are super expensive people. It was like 150,000 a year, like is a cheap one, but more like 250 a year is what you're going to pay for a data scientist in Seattle. And they had a bunch of them. I think they had like 40 or 50, and so what happened is they had a lot of really well-paid people, and the it was everything was going really well, and then the economy shifted and the market shifted, and they didn't course correct soon enough. And I think that they had a really tough problem with just coming to terms with, we're going to have to let go like
Too much tech,
300 people.
too much tech, too much
Yeah.
overhead a little bit.
Way too much overhead. And they hung on to that. And so with a startup, they call it your runway, right? How much money do you have before you run out of runway? And you either got to the plane's got to take off or you got to get more runway. And so they were burning a bunch of cash every single month, even though, and a lot of people don't realize this, overall, they were profitable on their loads. They were making money. They just had way too much overhead. And I think that they just had this sense of being a little bit invincible because of all the money that they had raised and, all the backing, Amazon and YC Combinator and all these super big names. And I think they just thought they could go out and
Just keep
get more
losing money and just keep getting more money over and over again.
And then the industry was tanked, and the venture capitalists just they kind of had to change a tune, and they weren't really lending money anymore.
So who bought their tech? Because recently somebody bought their tech. I remember. I just can't remember.
DAT. Yeah. So they what ended up happening is they ended up getting a line of credit for $100 million to extend their runway. And when it came apparent that they weren't going to raise, and there was talks of Walmart buying them and all this stuff, and they were trying to sell the tech stack, and it just didn't happen. And that was mid third quarter 2023, which everybody knows what the trucking industry was like then. It was horrible. And that the people who gave them that $100 million operating loan called the note due, and apparently, basically took over the entire company.
So just took over all the assets, any kind of thing, and then just tried to have a fire sale with it, basically.
Yeah, and so they tried to do a fire sale. Flexport bought it for $15 million or 19 million or something, which was a joke, right? I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, but not when you spend $1.1 billion growing something and you sell it for $19 million.
But I don't think they didn't end up screwing over any carriers, I think, right? They ended up paying all that stuff off, or they did?
I think they took care of it. So a lot of carriers got pissed off because overpayment, and I actually kind of gave the CEO a little bit of a hard time about this, and I was not even an employee there, and I was like, you got to take care of these carriers. And so it was in the press a lot how a lot of carriers were not getting paid. And if there's guys who still didn't get paid, that sucks. But what a lot of those guys who were in the press that were $100,000 deep with Convoy, they had recourse factoring. And that was kind of yes, Convoy should have paid the bills, but also they factored it with recourse factoring, which
which bounces
should definitely
back.
Have non-recourse.
Well, non-recourse is hard, man. It's not that easy to get, and if it is, it's super expensive. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's kind of rough.
So it sucks. I wish I could pay for everybody, but I'm not. That's just not my gig. And I tried to fight for the carriers, and I wasn't even working there. So yeah, it was just a big crap sandwich, and we all took a bite, man. It really sucked.
So how'd you get into trucking?
Family. Okay. My dad had a small trucking company, 5 trucks or something like that. When I started, got my CDL when I was 19 and just started driving for him. Drove till I was 24, 25, and then went in the office and grew it to, we had 25 trucks when I left and about 70 different trailers, and we were heavy haul, oversize, did a ton of stuff up to Alaska and Northern Alberta, and oil field based. And we were just a great company. We had our own shop. We had 40 employees, and and then I just for a lot of reasons just had to leave. And family is hard sometimes. So
you left the family business and then did you go to college for this or no? Just out of curiosity.
No.
Oh, well, me neither.
No, just I always joke there's more high school millionaires.
That's crazy. But how'd you get hired at Convoy and all these places if they don't look for a college degree?
No, honestly, nobody really cares anymore. Yeah. I tell that to people all the time. And I've worked at these big brokerages where we get recent college graduates working for us, and not all of them, but the vast majority they're kind of useless.
Dude, yeah. Look at TQL, dude. That's all they do is just burn through them at TQL.
But but they only know what the only thing that they know how to do is to be told how to do something. And they're really good at being told how to do something and then doing that thing. But like in like companies like that, they need people who know how to not only solve problems, but like asking the right questions. And I'm a big believer in um it's more important to ask the right question than it is to know the answer. And that's something that I've learned over the course of my time with working like with Convoy. But I think how I got in with companies like Convoy is I was actually introduced by a friend who had worked at Expedia when it was a startup, and Dan Lewis was just starting. Convoy wasn't even a thing yet. It was probably a year before it was a thing. And I was just like a guy who really understood trucking, and I understood tech enough to kind of be that bridge, right?
Mhm.
And help the tech side, like understand the industry, because if you're not a part of it, like it really is hard to understand. And you have to understand, like somebody went to like Harvard or Yale, you know, it's really hard for them to understand trucking. Um, so you know, it's just different people. So I served as that bridge in a lot of different ways.
So how'd you
So
end up trying to open? I kind of looked over busloads.ai. So what is it? You talk to book loads, kind of? Is that what I'm getting from it, or?
yeah, so with my brokerage, right? I it's a cradle to grave thing. So I talk to the carriers, book the loads, you know, price it, everything, you know, the whole shipment cycle. And you know, so I understand the brokerage side of it. And then also like so in 2023, I decided to go get my carrier authority again and go be a carrier and be an owner operator for a year. And I was just kind of following like some inspiration that I had, and it seemed kind of like a crazy thing to do, to be honest with you. But I went and did it, and one thing it really opened my eyes to is the dispatching industry and how much fraud there is in that industry and how really poorly executed it is. And I had somebody else like doing a lot of the carrier sales for me in my brokerage. So I didn't talk to the carriers a lot, but I ended up
Mhm.
kind of taking that back. And it really was eye-opening of like, um, you know, how many trucking companies use dispatchers, and how poor an experience that is, both for the trucking company and the brokerage. And I'm convinced that like brokers will pay guys more um if they don't have to talk to um you know, a really poor dispatcher, right? And don't get me wrong, there's some really good dispatchers out there. And so you should see like I'll give you an example. Like I'll post a load, right? And a lot of brokers do this now because of just the amount of inbound. Like, but let's say I post like a Sprinter van load or a hot shot load or something like that. I feel like those are kind of the worst industries. Like, I'll get 50 emails in 20 or 30 minutes, or 20 or 2 or 3 minutes, right? From people interested in the load. And almost all of them say like details question mark, or it's blank or something like that. And even if I post all of the details in the load posting, I still get it. Nobody reads it. And then every now and then you get a diamond in the rough, and the guy's like, hey, uh I'm set up with you guys
Truck's down
and
the
I got a
street,
truck that's,
empty now.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
empty now. Like just the bare minimum information. I'm empty now. I got this is the type of equipment, and you know, and I could pick this up within an hour, and I'm already set up with you guys, or I'm highway and RMIS compliant. Like, I don't know how many brokers you talk to in the world, but like that never happens. Like it's like 1 in 100 carriers do that, and brokers are more apt to use that type of a carrier, right? And so I'm looking at like this whole process of dispatching and what's being done. So a dispatcher's job is like search loads, right? And get them to the carrier and get the information from the broker. And I'm like, AI can do the vast majority of this. And and I'm not the only one building an AI dispatcher, but I am the only one that like really believes in the human aspect of trucking. Like this is a relationship business, and those relationships are not, the value of those relationships is not going away. And I think the people who lean way too heavily on I think this goes for brokers
It's gonna be a
and with
downfall for them later.
carriers. It's just not going to freaking work out. This is a relationship built business. And so I'm building an AI that is going to help take care of kind of the bull crap
Mhm.
of the industry, like
And then a live person
finding
comes in
loads.
later and just finishes the deal, kind of thing.
Yeah, so the AI, it will search for the loads. So let me back up. So originally when you onboard, it's a phone call to Harper, our AI agent, and just like talking to any other AI, and ask you some questions about your equipment types, your lanes, the kind of rates you like to see, your home time, and kind of building a profile out for you. So it's a conversational way of building a profile. And then we're actually integrating with Highway, which is really important as well. So we are not, we have a guard up. Um, we're not going to deal with carriers who have fraudulent activity going on. So we want to
Do good
only work with
vetting.
the best. Yeah, so the vetting process, and you don't see that in the dispatching industry at all. And also with that, we can see when a carrier wants to get set up with a highway broker, we can facilitate a lot of that, a way that any human dispatcher can't. And so it, the way that the driver interacts with the AI is, the AI it's all via text. There's no app, there's no username, there's no login. You're all verified via phone and highway. And so that the driver just texts, hey, I'm looking for a load in Denver, Colorado today. Great. Do you have your drive
The AI
answer?
writes them back. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, good luck, right? Yeah, I hope you're ready to take a beating. Hope you got paid good going in there is what it should say. Um, and so it looks at all these different load board sources, right? And so it could look at an infinite amount of loads all at the same time from a vast number of sources. And so what we do is we take all of this data, put it all together, and then we score it based on what the driver is actually looking for. And then deadhead from origin makes the load better, right? Rate per mile makes the load better. And we kind of add a score to it, and then we'll send them the top like 5 different load options. Just, hey, here's some simple details about it. And the driver can say, and so at this point, if the driver's like, say, I'm interested in load 2, we'll send them all the details to contact that broker. And I actually think that this is the best way of doing this. And
Will
this
it
is a
email
service.
for him or no?
It can.
Okay.
So like, this is kind of like the bare minimum service level. And I think that, like, I really encourage drivers to call that broker themselves. Like, I think there's a ton of value in that. So we're just searching and finding good fit loads for you, just like a human could, except for like AI can do this.
So this would be more for like owner operators, I take it, because obviously like a bigger trucking company's not gonna use it.
Yeah.
But owner operators driving all day on the road, it's just
Yep.
simple for him. Like instead of just he can't pull over because he has a load to deliver, so you just be like, hey, find me a load, and then they'll give him options so you could call on it and so on.
Right. He can't be sitting there scrolling DAT as he's
Yeah,
driving through downtown Houston, right?
yeah.
But you can get a text and see the text, and then just simply click like, yeah, I'm interested in this load. So, and then there is the next service level. Like, so the driver, that's just a flat fee. It's like $99 a month. Like unlimited searching and finding you loads and the best fit loads. And then for the kind of the next service level up is, because we realize that drivers need help sometimes, right? They're too busy, they're in traffic, they're tarping their load, they're arguing with, a guy on the dock, whatever they're doing, right? And so at any time, the driver can just do the click text to talk, or talk to text, and just say, hey, book load number 3 for me. And as soon as that happens, our system generates an internal notification to a real human dispatcher, US-based human dispatcher, that's going to get all of the load information, all of that driver's information, and they're going to pick up the phone and book that load for him.
Oh, so he doesn't have to book it. You got somebody else booking it for him.
You can, yep. And
Okay.
then
Okay.
that's kind of like on demand, right?
Yeah, so what you're running a trucking company, you got an agent for a freight brokerage, and you're trying to start a dispatch AI app, huh? Seems like pretty
I'm trying
busy.
to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
So what like so what do you got, like a fleet, and you're just trying to run your customer, like your own customers through it, or how you doing that?
A fleet with no, I did the owner operator thing for a
No,
little
I'm saying
over a
right now,
year.
you said you open up a carrier, right? So you got a carrier, you're a freight broker agent, and you're doing the app, right?
No, I shut the carrier down.
Oh, you
So
did?
I was able to get enough business to feed my brokerage to support, my brokerage can support my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I have two of my daughters that are working for me
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
doing carrier sales essentially. Yeah. And then I'm working on this Best Loads AI dispatch.
So how are you guys sourcing your customers? What do you just like Zoom info or
as far as like for the
leads
truckers?
leads for customers?
So right now we're about 2 weeks away from officially going live. So if you go onto our website, there's
No,
a wait
I'm talking
list.
about for the broker, for the customers, for the brokerage.
Oh, for the brokerage?
Yeah.
I've got a lot of experience in shipper sales, and I think like Zoom info and doing
Yeah.
cold calling, like that ship is sailed, man. I don't
You think so for
that.
Zoom info?
What's that?
You really think that reaching out through Zoom info sailed the ship?
So I asked my shipper customers like how often they get reached out to by
Oh,
brokerages.
every
And
day, hundreds
most
probably.
times like 5 to 10 a day.
Oh, I thought it was gonna
And
be way more than that.
it depends on who they are.
Yeah.
Right. And every day it's aggravating to them, right? Nobody wants to be cold called. Yeah, I think that the cold calling worked in like 1995 pretty
Okay.
good. I think that ship has sailed.
So what do you
I
think
really
works
do.
now?
It's a hard, so building rapport and building relationships. And you can do that through a cold call, but it's really hard. Um, I would say so. Whatever your cold out, if it's say because you eventually have to go in cold to somebody, but you want to make that as warm as possible, right? Do something that's adjacent to something that you're already doing. So if you got a shipper that's shipping steel pipe out of El Reno, Oklahoma, you know, or whatever, fill in the blank, whatever your thing is, like go find other people who are doing something that's pretty damn similar to that. And then, name drop what you're doing or go talk to them or, honestly, like most of my shippers that I get now, I get through a referral.
The mouth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also like having a semi truck, like this is part of what I'm doing with my channel is helping drivers to meet and work for direct shippers, right? Um, I think there's a ton of value in just showing up with your truck and walking up to the door and shaking their hand. And I did that for a year and I landed 14 shippers in 12 months.
That's good.
And
That's really good.
yeah, and 3 of them provide enough now for me to support my big family and pay 2 of my daughters to do it. And I'm straight up with all of my shippers. Like I charge 15 to 20%, and they're like, Mike, we see the value. Like you are providing that much value, and I don't have set rates with any of them. I pay the truck what needs to be paid, and then mark it up 15 to 20%. So,
So,
there's a
so it's
lot of
not
guys like
50 to 100% like everybody else always crying on here. Oh my God, this crying about freight brokers on the social media is like really, really getting like to me at this point, man. Especially these people like like they really don't know what the hell they're doing or talking about, and like just thinking like they don't do anything, and they don't like understand. Like you said, you dedicated a whole year just going out there knocking on doors,
yeah.
which you got 14, which is crazy. That's a crazy number in 12 months to lock down. And if you're saying 3 of them, a major life change, then I mean that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think if they have a truck, they drive the truck, they fuel the truck, they fix the truck, they think they deserve everything, right? But unfortunately, that's not how the world works. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, like, that you do have the truck and you're driving the truck. You still got to go out there and bust your ass more than that. Like you said, you got to go. But the messed up part
Yeah,
is like they can't go to the shippers they're delivering to because they're going to get hit with back
back solicitation.
solicitation, right? But that doesn't mean anything. Look for others. Look for other shippers. And I really would like to see a lot of these guys that are talking all this shit actually go and try to make a living just off broken freight. They wouldn't be able to. You know.
It's really hard. I've done both. And I would say like driving a truck and being an owner operator, it's really hard work. Like, um, it's a ton of work and it's a ton of stress. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions that drivers have about like, um, that they're forced to take loads from brokers. Like no one forces anyone to take anything, but if you get yourself into a situation where you're that desperate for a load and you'll kind of take anything, then I think that's really kind of a failure to build relationships. And I feel
Well,
like,
or blame it on yourself because you put yourself in that situation. You know what I mean? For not
yeah,
knowing what market to go to. Or a lot of people that jump in the truck, like what really gets me, man, is like I get questions all the time, like, hey, how could I get into this? How could I get into the trucking? Or should I buy my own truck, but I don't have like experience, even like working in a trucking company. Like, what do you expect to happen if you just like go out, jump into something that you're not familiar with? It's gonna cost you to learn. So, you're gonna lose money
yeah,
every time you learn from a mistake. So like I suggest go get a job as a dispatcher, take less money, learn the industry a little bit, learn about it, and then either work as a dispatcher is gonna be a lot easier than or jump in and buy your own truck or your own trucks and start doing that. But like even with the whole G Face thing when he was out there not too long ago, promising people all this 15,000, 20,000 a month, like they blow smoke up people's asses and people thinking you just jump in here and get like rich quick or have some kind of passive income. They don't understand the engine's gonna blow or whatever, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Or people get themselves like in debt or do like at least a purchase or take like a high interest loan on a truck, but they don't understand they need money in the bank, like in case a repair happens, in case something happens, in case they get sick, in case they can't drive. And like everybody just like expects to make like a fortune off nothing, you know what I mean? And unfortunately just life doesn't work that way, dude. You know what I mean? Like I've been in trucking such a long
right.
time. Like I failed a few times already. I keep on trying. I'm 41. This is a tough industry, man. Not to mention like lawsuits you get yourself in, partners screw you over. This like a bunch of shit keeps happening. It's not that easy. And the only thing I don't get is like every time something happens to me, I'm not complaining about another person. I blame myself. I get up and I try again or do whatever. But everybody's out here crying like, "Oh, the brokers are stealing from me. This is happening." Like, bro, you got to look at yourself. You know what I mean? And stop blaming other people for shit and get yourself together and start busting your ass. Like, look, you said you started right with your family in trucking, then you moved on. You got jobs in corporate America. You started learning about trucking. You busted your ass. You knocked doors for 12 months. You got 14 customers, and now you're able to make a living off of it. And now you're making an app, right? But then everybody's like, instead of crying about the free broker transparency or crying about this, crying about that, go do something and fix it, right? And then you're gonna be all right.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody's stopping you. And part of like me with Best Loads AI, um, part of the way that I envision drivers using this and how this is going to help them is like, talking about building your business. So if you're constantly searching for loads and scrolling through apps, right? Or you have a really unprofessional dispatcher that's representing your company towards the people that you're getting freight from, like you're probably not going to find good freight. But let AI do that. And what if you were to get like 2 or 3 hours a day back uh to your business, right? And that 2 to 3 hours where you could work on calling a broker and building a good relationship with them, and or thinking about how you can work with a direct shipper, right? So this is, I don't think AI is going to be like an end all be all tool that's going to solve all the problems and go out and find them loads and dispatch their truck. You could build something like that, and people are, but that's not the best.
No,
That's not going to help
I
the
think
owner
the AI
operator.
bubble is about to burst, dude. Like we already know like what AI is gonna be good. We already know like what stuff AI. I think the whole AI bubble is gonna burst like the dot-com bubble in the '90s, and I think it's just gonna be like I mean, AI is gonna be a big part of moving forward, but it's not like you said, it's not the end all be all, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like, in the trucking industry, we kind of act like the Flintstones, all of us, and then we're trying to like be the Jetsons all of a sudden, right?
You know.
It's let AI do what it's good at, and then let humans do what they're good at. And And I agree with you. I think there's going to be a swing towards real human relationships are going to be way more valuable, especially in business. And, I don't really see a world where a broker is going to answer the phone and it's going to be somebody's AI dispatcher. Uh, and, and that broker is going to give that AI dispatcher the load. Could you imagine? I don't see a world where
Yeah,
that's
that's
really
going to be
gonna
ripe
happen.
for fraud right there.
You're right. It's going to be ripe for fraud. And that's why we're partnering with Highway from the beginning. That's,
Yeah, but Highway's another fucking man. Highway's ruining a lot of carriers too, man. With the shit they got going. I understand they're trying to like fight the fraud and stuff like that, but if Highway's like screwing over so many good carriers right now, it's crazy, man. Like not too long ago, I think they because the CH Robinson switched their onboarding into Highway, and then Highway messed something up. Like CH couldn't book like loads with carriers for like a day or two because of a Highway
wow.
like mess up, you know. So I
Didn't
just
hear
think
about
like
that.
all this technology, all this stuff that's happening is just getting pushed too far. And as soon as the market shifts into like a better market, then these companies are going to learn real fast that this isn't going to work. Because right now we've had such a
Yeah.
shitty market for such a long time that they're able to get away with all this crazy stuff. But once the market heats up and they need trucks, they're gonna have a rude awakening, man. Which is really gonna
Yeah, I don't
slap them in the
know.
face.
I don't know if Highway's going to go anywhere.
I
I've
don't think
kind
they're
of
gonna go
pushed back
nowhere,
on
but I
that.
think they're gonna start getting a little bit less,
I,
like stringent, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the brokers will be less strict on what they're doing. And like honestly, like the elephant in the room, that's actually the really big problem is the fraud
Yeah.
in this industry, right? And let's face it, a lot of that fraud does come from the dispatching industry. Guys who give their MC authority W-9 to a, a a third party dispatcher, like I think that's crazy. Like you're kind of asking to be ripped off. Um, you know, and so that is where a lot of this fraud comes from. And I see it as in my brokerage, like I can tell if a guy's worked for an offshore dispatcher before, and they usually have problems on their highway, and it kind of haunts them. Um,
Oh yeah, one bad
you know,
highway report, carry for one report, you're done. You're sitting in the water, dude. You ain't going nowhere. But a lot of
yeah,
them are bad though, dude. Are bad because like I kind of because I have a lawyer that I kind of got into trucking because he never really did trucking. But then like once he started, talking to me, he started doing trucking. He's like, dude, I got so much work. I don't even know what to do with it at this point because it's always some kind of highway, some kind of carrier for one, some kind of shit's happening. And I think eventually, I think carrier for one is like kind of protecting themselves. I forgot exactly how it was from getting sued. But
mm,
eventually, somebody's going to crack that one. They're going to get a class action lawsuit, and I think Highway's going to get a class action lawsuit as well. And my carrier
maybe.
package too, dude, because they had some issues too with messing up. You know what I mean? And then even the FMCSA messes up, man, because all these people that are changing the MCS 150 forms, like a lot of the stuff, this FMCSA just allowing it without even like doing due diligence. Like I think just recently, I think you have to do like facial recognition and name match to open up a motor carrier number. Where before you don't even have to
Mm.
do that, which is crazy.
Yeah, like the fraudsters are just getting so sophisticated. And yeah, I agree with you. Like with Carrier 411, I would actually there's a lot of carriers that I would like to actually give like a good review to. Like I wish there was something that was like a Yelp for trucking, maybe somebody can invent this. I know I've heard people talk about it before, but like there's a lot of guys like, dude, this guy kicks butt and I want to give him a 5-star review so that other brokers know that he's a good guy and and to help that guy out. Like I honestly like he did a killer job for me and I'm like I want to help you out any way that I can.
Yeah, but see, but the
And
problem is, even if like a company does something bad one time, they get caught, and say it was just like a fluke or something, that one time messes up the whole reputation, which I don't think that's completely fair. You know what I mean?
it's not. So I've brokered a ton of loads over the last 20 years. And I've only done one carrier 411 report ever in my entire life. Cause I don't think it's the right thing to do. Like it has to be pretty egregious for somebody to get a carrier 411 report. And I don't think the system is fair.
No.
It's really not. It is heavily skewed towards the broker's favor. And there's like a lot of dirtbag brokers. Like carrier should be able to like report like this guy's a freaking
Yeah, but we're gonna
jerk.
report them to. It's not gonna matter anywhere. You can't. What are you gonna put out DAT
It would
review?
be nice.
Nobody's gonna look at
Yeah.
that shit that they need to load. Like somebody sent me. Like I did a video on this like a while back. The guy from Carrier for One, Darren, actually called me and threatened me that I made a video because there was one company put a 5 freight guard reports on a carrier for the same thing. they're like, oh, they were late or whatever, and then oh, they threatened to sue us. And the third one, oh, they sued us. And the fourth one, oh this, and the fifth one, oh that. So I called the company and I was like, dude, why would you give somebody 5 reports for the same like thing? Doesn't even matter. And I looked up the company. It was like a company out of Ohio. It was like actually a decent company. I think it was like 20, 30 trucks. Never got in trouble. Never did anything. And then these clowns are like putting all these reports on. I'm like, dude, shit happens, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And then if you put a report, you're
Yeah.
going to come to people's company. Like, yeah, they're going to sue you. Of course, they're going to sue you. So like, I
Yeah,
don't,
it's not right.
you know,
There's a lot of things that aren't right, and maybe they'll be able to clean it up. But I think the carrier 401 should be a little bit more of a two-way street where drivers can do the same thing.
well,
And
they're
then I
kind of
think
ruining
that,
it for brokers. Brokers are getting sued right now. They're losing lawsuits.
oh,
There's already
really?
one for like over $400,000, and they're gonna keep on getting sued for this shit. And the daring guy is gonna keep laughing because he's collecting their $100 or $200, whatever it is, a month. So he doesn't
Yeah.
care. But these guys are gonna constantly keep on getting sued, and eventually, like, it's gonna ruin the reputation of them. And I just hope like he gets, because to me the guy just seems like an a-hole dude. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't care about the carriers at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's probably true. It is super one-sided, and I agree. So I don't know, maybe somebody will make something better, right? And it'll come along, but you know, yeah, it's pretty tough. Like, and that's why, like, when you talk about like highway and carrier 411 and stuff like that, and all these compliance tools, like if you want to play in the spot market and on the load board, like you kind of have to play along with these, like they're not going anywhere.
You know,
Highway and RMIS, they're not going anywhere. And I've talked because I can kind of see the other side of highway. And I've talked to a lot of drivers. In fact, there was a guy on Facebook or not Facebook, whatever, TikTok the other day, hotshot guy that was saying he was going to sue highway. And I looked through his videos and got his MC number off the side of his truck and looked him up. And I'm like, dude, you just got to connect your ELD. Like, but he didn't understand. Like, he's like, my ELD is on, it's connected. Like, but no, you have to connect it to highway.
highway.
And I even sent him a message. I sent him actually 2 messages. And I said, dude, I will help you clear this up with highway. And like, it'll take 5 minutes of my time. And I'm happy to help. Never got back to me. So I think, some people like highways, pretty helpful.
Yeah, but what but what do you
I'm
think
not
about
selling highway. I'm not
But what do you
their
think about highway? Say, for
salesperson.
example, if you go out on Facebook Marketplace, you buy a semi truck,
Yeah.
the VIN numbers from a company
Heard
that
of
did
that.
some fucked up shit, and then you put that on your shit. They run the thing, and now they link you with those companies. Or what if you
That's
use,
messed up.
yeah, or the IP stuff, or IP addresses, right? So you got a remote dispatcher worked for a different company. Now his IP is linked to that company. Now you're screwed, and now good luck fixing that unless you get a lawyer.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing. Like, we are the first dispatch company to be connected with highway. And so we're going to be like a legitimate dispatch service that's within the highway
But I'm not even talking about dispatch
ecosystem.
service. I'm just saying, say like you get hire a dispatcher that works remote. He lives in
Yeah.
Idaho. He has an IP address at home. He
No,
works
I
for a
get it.
company. He leaves. He joins a new company. You fill out a highway online, links to 2 companies, and now you don't talk your way out of it. Before you get it fixed, it's going to be days, if not a couple of weeks, and now you just lost like your business pretty much because you can't book anything because you're
Well,
red
a
flagged on
certain point of
highway.
that is that dispatcher's fault. Like, I believe that you can register yourself as a dispatcher within highway, even outside of what we've already done, where we're directly integrated with them. But
No, but
that's
I'm not saying dispatch service. I'm just saying, say like a regular dispatcher works for one company, and then that company
yeah,
messes
okay.
up, and that his home IP is already with that company, and then he gets hired at a different company. He uses the same IP address and automatically combines those 2 companies, even though they don't have nothing to do with each other. But now the bad company is on a good company.
Yeah.
Now the good company's screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a ton of that. And I get it. And I don't know. I'm not a highway representative. I think it's a pretty good service. It has prevented a lot of fraud, on my end. Depending on the mode of transport, sometimes there's like up to 50% of the carriers that are inbound. It's some sort of fraud. So, and there's really no way to vet that without knowing for sure, within a system like highway. And, talking about the IP address, like I've seen one where the guy had 17 MCs associated with one IP address. And like, a bunch of them were reported for fraud, those MC numbers. Like that guy's obviously a fraudster.
Well,
And
shitty
he's
one
probably,
because he needs to be switching his IP addresses.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty crazy. And like, um, I feel like they're working out a lot of the kinks. It's not a perfect system. They're doing something that's never been done before, but they're working out a lot of the kinks, and I found them to be pretty helpful. But like I said, I'm not here to, pitch highway or anything like that. But yeah, it's like you kind of love them or hate them. You kind of got to play along to get work off of brokers in the spot market.
Yeah, I mean they have
So,
definitely a lot of the big boys. That's for sure. A lot of them.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know what the percentage is, but I think it's probably like half of the brokerages or pretty close.
you think so? Like, all the broker like
Pretty close, I'll bet. Like it's a lot. Um, in fact, as a carrier, I would be super leery of somebody who just sends me like a PDF to sign in
oh
an
right now
email.
oh yeah dude they're definitely like fishing for information.
That's sketchy.
Yeah, a
Uh,
lot. That's another thing the carriers got to look out for too, man, because there's a lot of fraud going on just to steal their information to start
mhm.
using it for later or phishing scams, and then you get your MCS 150 changed, and yeah, it's crazy, man, right now.
Somebody's DAT accounts get hacked. They post a good paying load, collect as much company information as many truckers as possible, and then before you know it, they're fraud. So stuff like this protects truckers as well. So yeah, but it's definitely a crazy industry, and we're trying to bring some a little bit more legitimacy to the dispatching industry, and be the first like at scale dispatch service that people can trust, because it's really hard to know who you can trust, because it's a lot of people, where it's just one guy or a couple of people um, running a dispatch service, and you just don't know what they're up to.
Yeah, that's why I say like relationships are important, man, because once you have relationships with brokers, they just send you constant lanes that you do all the time, and you don't got to worry about it. Just got automatically sent to you, and so, and so on and so on. So that's what you said. Like the relationship part of it is never going to end. I mean, might AI cut a lot of jobs? Possibly, you know what I mean? But like, it's never
Yeah,
gonna, how about the people that get the freight? You go, you meet up with the person, like you said, you build a relationship, even like under the table deals, stuff like that. That's never gonna go away, and it's always gonna happen. And that I mean, that's it. I mean, AI can't replace that. There's just no way. Even like a full out dispatcher, like you said, there's no way. Maybe you could do AI could do a
yeah.
part of it, email it, get the info, but then somebody has to see it, see if it makes sense. Like AI is not going to be able to do everything, you know what I mean, without screwing it up, without losing your money eventually. So
I
definitely going
think
to
a
need
real
people.
human will always get more money than an AI. And like I'm big on relationships with trucker. I have one owner operator that's done 700 loads for me. And there's for quite a few years, I think I gave him 100% of his loads. And the guy's got like a brand new Kenworth truck. It's like super nice. It's paid for. And the dude takes off like all the time for like a couple of weeks or a month, and he's into drag racing too. And so the guy
Hmm.
makes good money, and I make money off of the things, and he makes money off of it. And the shipper just trusts us and knows that we're going to get it done. And I have with that one account, I have about 10 guys that kind of rotate through. So, and that stuff never hits the load board.
Yeah,
Like it does not. Like maybe so that one shipper, I do between 650 and 800 loads a year for them, and I'll go for a year without posting a load. Maybe if I get like in a super big pinch and something happens last minute, I'll post it. Um, but that's all 100% relationship driven. And so, yeah, it's for that shipper to go out and, deal with the individual truckers. It's pretty tough because there's some unique, insurance requirements that I have to constantly vet, for these guys to be able to work to do these loads. So yeah, it's definitely a relationship business, and that's not going anywhere.
so where do you see the industry going in the next like 3 to 5 years?
I think you're right about AI. I think it's a bubble. I think there's a lot of brokers that are building AI and replacing their carrier sales team with AI. And I think they're going to regret that for the most part. I think that's going to go away. In fact, one of the bigger ones that's doing it, if you really listen to what they're saying, they're sharing carrier data across brokerages. Their AI is, and they actually are saying that as one of their value props. But I don't think brokerages really understand what that means. So that means that your favorite carrier's information is being shared by AI.
Yep, and then your
Uh,
advantage is gone. They just
yeah,
gave it
and
away,
like
sold it away.
and when the industry, I think here's what'll happen. I think big brokerages are going to build their own AI in-house. And I think that's going to be the only way to one of the only ways to do that, for them to not lose their data.
Kind of mix it in with their TMS system.
Yeah, you can build it. It needs to be in-house and it needs to be siloed. But an off-the-shelf AI for a brokerage, I think that's gonna be pretty short-lived. Um,
I mean, it's good
and
for
I think,
quoting. I think like if you're going to be quoting like large contracts or something, then I could see using AI, right? Because obviously it's kind of already that's what they're using most of them. I guess
yeah,
technically AI.
collect a bunch of data. AI is really good at collecting data, sorting that data, analyzing that data, and then putting that data into a digestible format for a human.
Yeah.
Right? AI is super good at that. And I think that I think the market's going to change next year, especially with this English language proficiency thing that's coming down the pipeline. And then also another thing that I think could be like probably one of the biggest changes that we've seen. And I don't have a prediction for what's going to happen for this, but with Duffy saying, the head of the FMCSA saying he's going to keep shippers, he's going to hold shippers accountable for hiring drivers that are not ELP proficient.
Well, that basically
Like
means
that's
they're going to be
huge.
checking the trucks when they're loading them. That's all that means, basically.
Yeah, but now if a shipper loads somebody, they can get sued.
Yeah, but that's kind of
Uh,
messed up too, though, because like think about it, what if he's a local guy, picks it up, drops it at a yard, different guy takes it over the road, right? So then,
yeah. So what I've told my customers to do is, because if it's not somebody they deal with on a regular basis, like it's a new guy in there that I just found off the load board, my shippers, I've advised them to have the driver stand in front of his door and hold his driver's license and take a picture and put that in the file with that truckload. And if somebody down the road else has that load and kills somebody or whatever, like it's going to be really easy to figure out if that load was handed off. And something that we do before that, even that we've started doing like 5 months ago, is I send a Trucker Tools tracking link to the driver to verify that where they're at and they're close to pickup and it actually is the driver that I'm talking to. And then somebody calls them as soon as they accept tracking. Somebody from our brokerage calls them and talks to them, and we usually just like, hey, where you at? Just making sure pick up, and we can tell pretty quick if they're ELP proficient or not. So, but I do think to answer your question, where the industry is going in 5 years, I think it's going to be probably pretty damn similar to what it is right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see any, like, people have tried to shake up this industry. Um, and nobody's been like super successful. Like back when we were first starting Convoy, like the big thing was like everybody said there's no way you're going to get a driver to download an app. Like it's just not happening. That was the consensus. Now look at it.
you
Like
know,
it's super common, but it really didn't change that much. It's just a different way to find loads. Um, I think AI is going to take care of a lot of the bull crap. Um, one thing a positive change is going to do is uh, getting load details from the broker to the carrier. Because a lot of brokers don't post that information, and I'm not really sure why. A lot of carriers don't read it. You could say that too, but that information has to be shared. And the driver needs to know that if it's going to be a good fit for his truck or not. And AI can do that pretty quickly. So like a system like Best Loads AI, which is working on the driver's behalf only. And then that AI essentially talks to that broker's AI and kind of gets all of the bull crap out of the
It's
way.
sort of like an EDI kind of basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
It could be at scale EDI, but I do think that the very best freight is going to be done, human to human. That's where the best loads are going to happen. And I would encourage, truckers, even right now, even if you don't have some sort of uh, loads, if you're searching loads for yourself, like that's the best thing that you can do, and just act on behalf of that company. And that's, I call my TikTok channel the Trucker CEO, and because I believe that, um, truckers, you're much more than just a guy who owns and operates a truck. Like, you are the CEO of your own trucking company, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. And if your company's not getting enough money, generating enough revenue to support its overhead and its variable costs, that lands on the CEO.
Yeah.
And that means you have to go find better customers. And,
Or just know more
so
about it. That's why I started my channel. It's kind of just like, because I'm like, all right, who needs kind of like help in trucking? And then like I just figure like every time I talk to owner operators, like a lot of them don't know what's going on. Like even like the stupid like market updates I do with the DAT like hot market map. Like a lot of people don't even know about that map, right? Or a lot of people be like, oh, talk to that map's not accurate. You don't know what the hell you're talking. Well, okay, buddy, go to a market blind then. You know what I mean? Just because like
yeah,
just because the market's red doesn't mean it's good. You got to do research, see how many loads are posted, how many trucks. You got to understand that's not going to be accurate still, but at least it's going to help you to make a decision to go to a market where you're in a favor to like to get the best loads possible. A lot of people
yeah.
don't even understand that. They just they take the most like the load that pays the most, and they'll end up in the middle of nowhere in a shitty ass area, and then good luck getting out of there.
Yeah, and that's something that like an AI dispatcher can do for you, and that this is what we're going to build out as well. So, like, if it's looking for loads for a truck out of Chicago, right? And let's say there's loads that are $4 a mile, but it goes to freaking, Bozeman, Montana. That's not necessarily a good load.
No,
You know what I mean? Or if there's a load that's $3 a mile, but it goes to Atlanta, Georgia. Even though it's 25% less, arguably, and I'm sure somebody's going to argue the point, right? But that's probably a better load. So, like, not only can AI look at the loads going out, but it can look in real time at what's posted in that area's destination. And then it can make a prediction, and it can do this an infinite amount of times all at the same time.
that's good. So it'd
Right.
be like you got a 60% chance of getting a good load out there, or you got a 2%
Yeah.
chance of getting.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, I see a high dollar load going to Montana, but I see a load going to this other market, and loads are paying $5 a mile out of there because there's a hurricane or whatever, fill in the blank. And so having AI that does that, it's kind of like it's kind of like your market updates. And a lot of times those market updates, there's a lag in that data, right? But this is like real time, what's posted right now. And anybody who's been in the industry for knows that, like, you can have a rate on a lane on Wednesday that's going to be way different Friday at
Yeah, because the market,
3:30 in
that's
the
another thing people
afternoon.
don't understand. Markets change, you know what I mean? And then people are like, oh, boy, backhaul rates. Or like, oh, like a lot of things, like what really gets me the most is like, because I keep on telling people, just because the market's good, but if you go there and say, for example, you have to get back to Chicago,
Mhm.
just because the market's good doesn't mean there's going to be a bunch of loads paying good to Chicago, because there only might be 5 loads to Chicago that day from that market, but 20 people want it. You know what I mean? So that's why you got to
Yeah.
also understand, if you're going to go in a market, you got to make sure you're open, you know what I mean, to either taking it cheap, load back where you want to go, or be open to going somewhere else if keep on following the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's super true. I had somebody comment on one of my videos about, like, how do you calculate the rate? And I'm like, that's not a simple question. And a lot of people just like, it's my cost per mile plus whatever profit margin I want. Well, that works out great if everything in the entire country was static and
Exactly.
there was no such thing as different
Oh,
markets,
that's
right?
another thing, bro. Oh my God, when these guys start yapping about like there should be like a flat amount or like low, like bro, like they obviously do not understand supply and demand in the
Yeah.
markets. Because okay, say for example, right, this is what really, like, I don't know if I'm stupid or they're just like super stupid, but it's like, okay, so say you get $3 minimum. Let's just use $3 minimum, right? So say they get that $3 minimum, right? So now they're gonna take a load to like a place like Montana, like you said, right? So now A bunch of people took loads to Montana, $3. Now there's 100, just using numbers, 100 trucks in Montana, but Montana only has one load every day going out of there. So are these guys going to sit and wait till it's their turn to get that load because that's the only way they're going to get a load out of there, or are they going to deadhead thousands of miles or whatever to the next market where they're going to get a load, and they're not taking into consideration all the like, dude, like everything they're saying just don't make no sense to me whatsoever.
Well, here's another thing to think about that with that, because I saw somebody pitch the $3 a mile thing as well. I was doing like a live, and people just keep pumping in this $3 mile broker cap, at 3%. And so like, okay, so let's say that we pass $3 per mile. Okay. So out of the same city, you have a load for a dry van load of floor loaded potatoes that needs a washout, or you have that pays $3 a mile, right? Which probably arguably should pay more than $3 a mile, right?
Yeah.
They're loading your dry van with a conveyor belt. Or I'll even make it worse. Like, let's say it's charcoal,
Cowhides, bro.
Cowhides. Yes.
Yeah.
You're picking it up at a rendering plant. And so it's $3 a mile. Who the hell's going to haul that when you can go haul a load of like styrofoam, that weighs 3,000 pounds for the entire truck?
Save fuel.
So now what? Is somebody going to like force drivers to go haul the cowhides for $3 a mile? Or what's likely going to happen is that shipper for the cowhides is going to have to pay more money to get those moved, right? And then we're right back to where we started.
Yeah, just
where it's
none
just
of this
a
makes
market
sense.
rate.
And you can't cap stuff like that because, like, dude, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but there are going to be markets where you're only going to get $1.20, $1.30, $1.40, dude. You know what I mean? If you want the load, say, especially if you want to get back home. You know what I mean? Like, say, especially like Chicago is like the biggest place. Chicago and Los Angeles, right? Because if you're trying to go towards LA, you're not getting paid anything. They're going to try to push $1.30, $1.40 a mile from the East Coast all the way to California. And whoever takes that is just stupid. Why are you taking it and complaining about it? Just work your way back slowly. If you're in northern New Jersey's been a hot market for months now. So if you're in northern New Jersey trying to get to California, take a load to, I don't know, Texas, Arkansas, or anywhere over there for like decent money, and then slowly start waking your way back to California and just taking one long haul and just messing up your whole average for the whole week. You know what I mean? Which makes no damn sense whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's something like to just pitch the AI again. Like that's something the AI can do. Like it can look at in real time, hey, you get down to, Fort Smith, like there's some good loads going east from there, and a lot of stuff isn't posted more than a day or two in advance, but you can get a pretty damn good idea
of how the market's looking over
market,
there.
And it usually doesn't change, that quickly. So, there's kind of like a lot of like tribal knowledge and that can be built in to things like that to help you, to kind of advise drivers on what to do. And really a good dispatcher would know that.
Yep.
Right. And there are good dispatchers out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, trying to downplay all dispatchers because there are a ton of good ones. And there's a lot of really bad ones.
Oh, dude, I had because I started I posted on Instagram too to see if I could find this real quick. This guy writes me a message on Instagram, dude. Shit, I don't know if I'll be able to find it right now. Let me see, dude. But he writes me something like about my market update. He's like, "Oh, this is a lie. I can't get." Wait, what the fuck did he say, dude? Oh my goodness. Damn, I don't want to message. I don't know, but he messaged me something like, "Oh, I didn't get a good load out of there. You're full of shit. Your market update's full of shit." Well, I mean, like maybe you don't know how to book freight because I think he was talking about like Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, or Indianapolis, Indiana, and both of them are really good right now. So like either he just needed a backhaul to go somewhere and he couldn't get shit because it was the weekend, or like he really just sucks at dispatching. Because even for example, if you are in Ohio and you need to get to Chicago for the weekend for the driver or something, how about look past Chicago but going through Chicago, take more money, stop the driver in Chicago for the weekend, and then he could deliver on Monday, whatever, Tuesday, farther down, right, and keep going that way. But like people don't I guess when you're dispatching, you got to think outside the box a lot of times, right?
Right.
Because if you just one mindset and you're only thinking about one way, you're not going to make money like that. You really got to think outside the box. You got to think about different markets you could go to. Again, like I said, if you got to go send the driver home, send them through home, not to home. That's a way to try to get some more money. And then everybody just got, I don't know, man. It's just a lot of times the social media stuff really frustrates me a lot.
Yeah, well, you're living in that world, so I get it. And I would say even like one thing a lot of drivers turn their nose up at is like shorter hauls. And I feel like it's not necessarily always the drivers doing that. It's a lot of times it's the dispatchers
Yeah, because they probably get
because
percentage
it's
or commission, so they want to.
yeah,
Yeah, which is that's so bad. That's like so bad. They should not do that.
yeah, like I pay like on a lot of local stuff, less than 500 miles, like I'm over $5 a mile to do it. And, but I could post something that goes further, uh, for the same amount of money, right? Say
And
it's
they're gonna take it.
$3,000 to go 500 miles, or it's $3,000 to go, 1,200 miles. I'll get a ton of calls on the 1,200 miles, but no calls on the 500,
Yeah, because
right?
everybody they see the big long miles,
They
big
want
girls.
miles.
They don't got to worry about driver finding a load the next day. They could wait a day or two, and that's why they're not thinking about it. Like if you're out there, like your job as a dispatcher, especially, I mean, either if you're company trucks or owner operators, but your job is to make the most money for the company for the owner operator, right? And there is
Yeah.
some times where the companies won't let, I've been doing it for quite a while, so I worked at some places. They're like, no, we need long miles. That's all they care about. We want long miles, gross. I'm like, but it doesn't make no sense for you. You're not gonna fucking, you're not gonna be profitable. Why would you even do this?
Yeah. Yeah. That's 100%. And when I was running my dad's trucking company, gosh, I dispatched for probably 10 years or something like that. And I even dispatched 17 trucks by myself
You know,
for quite a while. And that's a chore, man. And we were a regional company, and just finding those hauls to make that match, and like getting really good at certain lanes, I think is something that drivers could really benefit from, figuring out what we ran a lot of stuff I-5 corridor, and we ran a lot of stuff up to Canada and back. And Canada and back there was no back from Canada or Alaska. We did stuff up to Alaska as well. And, you just charge round trip. And that's just the way the industry is. And, but a lot of drivers would shy away from that kind of work because they're like, oh, I can't get a load out of there.
so
Okay, charge round trip.
quote enough to come back empty.
Yeah,
Or that's
yeah,
another thing dispatchers don't do. Like if you want to say if you want to take loads to like a shitty ass area like Denver and you're trying to get to like say California for example, well charge like more money so that way
yes,
when you take that cheap ass load to California out of there, it's gonna make up per mile. So at least that way you get a good amount per mile, and then some of it you could use to push for the rest of the trip if you're trying to get across the country, right? Because a lot of
yeah,
times it wouldn't be worth it for you to go from New Jersey to say like L.A. or in this case probably maybe like Sacramento or whatever because you're going up north. But if you get really good money going to Denver and then you take a cheap load from Denver, that's better than going from New Jersey all the way to California for a cheap ass rate when you just break that up into two parts. You know what I mean? So like you got to start
yeah.
getting a little like I don't even know what the word is, but
And a
creative,
good
I guess.
dispatcher should be able to do all that,
You know.
stuff for you 100%. And there's a saying in the industry that you take your backhaul with you. Like when you're going to like North Dakota or Denver or anywhere like that just sucks. And I live in the Mountain West, so like that's kind of like the areas that I understand. Um, but when you go into those areas, like you take your back haul with you. So, you can't sit in Williston, North Dakota for 3, 4 days trying to find a load out of there. When you took a load up from Houston, you just charge enough to get you at least halfway back.
Yeah, like at
Uh,
least to the next big, like even like Minneapolis or whatever. I mean, Minneapolis might be a little bit too far, closer to Fargo, but whichever direction is, you know what I mean, like going better.
yeah,
Exactly. Just charge some money so you can start moving. And you should be having a load the day before too. If you're going to shitty areas, start looking for the load a day or even two before if you got 2 days. So that way at
mhm,
least you grab it and know you're going to be in the shitty area. Just grab it and get the hell out of there, bro. You know what I mean? Instead of just sitting there waiting. And then people are like, oh, I've been
yeah.
sitting here for a day or two. Like, why? Why are you sitting there? Either you should have just deadheaded the hell out of there, or you should have been trying to get a cheap ass load prior to you arriving there, to get out of there.
And that's something I see dispatchers do a lot is they wait until the truck's almost empty or until it is empty. And then they start calling. And you can almost set your clock to it. Like if a broker puts a load up at a certain time of the day, they're just not going to get any phone calls. Like, I post like, one of my customers, like a construction company, and they give me stuff like Sunday evening all the time, or Saturday evening, and they need a truck Sunday morning all the time. And I'll post loads at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night for like really good money so that I can get a truck there next thing in the morning. And I get like crickets. But if I were to post the same load at like 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, my inbox would just freaking blow up. Like I would literally get like dozens and dozens
And
of
that's another
calls
thing
and
that you see
emails.
what's bad about dispatchers. Because if you have a truck over the weekend, you should be looking for your truck over the weekend, right? Now, if you're
Yeah.
searching DAT, for example, you could see who has their truck posted. So if that dispatcher just posted that truck and said, hey, if I don't respond, here's my cell phone number in the comments, call me. I have a truck empty. And then like a broker that's looking for that truck will read the comment and he'll call. But nobody
Yeah.
even does that shit. Like I used
Nobody
to do
posts
that
their
shit all
truck.
the time.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely. And like just getting back to the like AI searches nonstop and it's always looking. It doesn't have to take a dump, it doesn't have to go to the bathroom or smoke break or whatever, It's always searching for you. And you know, it's just something it's just going to be such a good tool for drivers. But yeah, it's there's definitely, you can tell when like 7 or 8 a.m. Central Time comes around when you're working on something, out of California or any one of the other time zones. Like as soon as it's 8 a.m. Central Time, like it's like flipping a switch. That's when you start getting phone calls, and that load could have been covered already and probably gotten for more money.
Yeah, there or
It's
dispatchers that like 5 o'clock or whatever they leave right away. Like
Yep,
especially if you're
yep.
working like with trucks, dude, there's no way, bro. Like especially if they're not covered. So many good loads pop up after hours, and like I just don't get it, man. Like it's just there's a lot of bad dispatchers too, dude. A lot
Yeah,
of bad
and
dispatchers.
there's something a lot of people don't realize because I've worked directly with people in Pakistan, in different brokerages that I've had. And I'm just using Pakistan as an example because there's a lot of the dispatching industry that comes from Pakistan. And there's a reason why that a lot of people don't realize. But in I know in Pakistan, at least the way it used to be, is you cannot have, it's called a VoIP phone, voice over IP, which means like an internet
Yeah.
phone, right? Everybody has them. So they're for business purposes in most of, I think all of Pakistan, it's illegal for an individual to have a VoIP phone. You actually have to go to a call center, and that's where your VoIP, your phone is. And so like they have to go home, every day. And some people still get away with it and do it out of their home after hours. But essentially a lot of them are uh, you know, it's like an 8 to 5 job. They're not searching 24 hours a day. And I've worked with people there who were doing it kind of semi legally out of their house. And once the government finds out, they shut it down
Okay.
like that. They have like a VoIP detector
But that's
that,
another thing, man. These like freight brokers and like companies are like outsourcing and stuff to all these like foreign countries. I think they're gonna learn quick too, bro. Because like holy crap, like JB Hunt is like a big one that does. I don't know. If I think the Columbia they
mm,
do. Like, dude, that's ruining their stuff, man. Because these guys don't know what the hell they're doing at all. And
yeah, well, it's an effort to keep costs down, which I understand, sometimes carrier people don't understand how tight, once you pay for a brokerage's overhead, that 10% that they might be making really isn't
yeah, but
enough.
like we have people here with me that we work overseas. We got some in Kosovo, got
Yeah.
Poland, and like Philippines, but they speak like good English. So if they
Mhm.
just took a little bit of time to actually find like people that spoke better English, because some of these people just don't speak English whatsoever, dude. Because I understand, like, yeah, outsourcing is good, especially like what I mean, like for work that what I mean, like you could over here you have to pay like for a like I don't want to say stupid job, but for like a low entry job, right? Like you definitely will save money doing that than paying somebody here. And they actually probably most of the time in a different country they work a lot harder and better too.
Yeah,
Because
no, I agree.
yeah.
I've employed people directly that overseas, so I have don't get me wrong, I have no beef with that, but it's like there's within the dispatching, there's no like there's no compliance for them. Like for a brokerage, a lot of times they work through like an agency. I forget the name of the big one down in Columbia, but they actually show up to an office and are vetted, and they're an employee of that agency, and that agency pays them.
Yeah.
People are kind of doing it ad hoc. A lot of times they just get involved with fraud, and it's tough because a lot of the fraudsters have kind of ruined that for a lot of really good, hardworking people.
Yeah, they're
So
ruining a lot of stuff right now, but what are you gonna do then? What are you gonna do?
yeah,
So what else? Anything else, or I think we pretty much touched on everything already so far, right?
I'm just like an old trucker. I could talk for days about pretty much nothing. My wife says that I could talk to anybody about any subject for 10 minutes. So yeah, I could. I think we covered it pretty well. Hopefully, I don't know if we're going to convince anybody to do anything differently, and maybe the things I'm teaching people on the Trucker CEO channel, maybe they're not entirely right for everybody, but I've helped a lot of drivers, with their business and to help it grow their business. And, I want to start a series on how truckers can get more money out of brokers. And it might not be what you think it is. I'm going to heavily lean on relationship building and spending the time to actually, find good brokers. And there's a ton of jerks out there. But just use them for that load if you have to. But other than that, forget them. But there's a lot of really decent brokers, and the industry is changing, and it's going to change, um, you know, here, pretty soon. I think second quarter next year. And, the brokers are going to need the carriers even more. And, I want to encourage people that as that market changes, like take that opportunity to build those good relationships, both with shippers and with brokers. And that's going to make it so you're essentially building a bridge over the next time the market does a downturn, because it's going to do a downturn. In my opinion, in like every 3 to 5 years, it makes a dip, right? And I've seen that ever since 1998. This dip since Q1 or Q2 probably 2023 is like really when the dip started. Maybe even Q4 22. I
No, I
could
think it
be
was
wrong.
before because when pandemic was a 2020, right? And then it was like
Yeah,
6 months.
2021 was killer.
Yeah, it was
And I
six months of right when the pandemic started. 6 to 8 months was crash. Then we had
Yeah.
that boom. So I think it
Mhm.
was the 2021 was the boom, and then right after that boom, bro, everything just went to shit, dude.
Yeah, I kind of lingered a little bit, maybe into 22 or something. But I think you're right. I think maybe Q1 22 or something like that, the bottom fell out. And 23 was just a bloodbath for everybody. But I wouldn't say that this is the worst that the industry's even ever been. So anyway, so I'm just trying to help drivers, understand the industry a little bit more, just given my background. I don't know all the answers to everything. And then, once we're ready, we're going to start talking about, hey, there's some pretty cool tools here. This Best Loads AI, that's going to be a pretty good tool that I think is going to help drivers to save them time to work on building their business and building those relationships. And then also, you always have a good dispatcher in your back pocket, that's kind of ad hoc whenever you need them. You don't have to use them every time. And then you save that money, save that dispatch, that 5 to 10% or whatever you're paying for your dispatcher, and only use it when you need it. And so, going to start talking about that on my channel here probably next month or something like
That's
that,
the
as we get a little
trucker
bit more.
CEO, right, on TikTok.
Yeah, the trucker CEO. Yep. So I started like 5 days ago, maybe a week ago or something like that. I got like 1,500 followers or something, a bunch of people saying, yay, finally somebody who makes sense on the industry.
Keep it going, bro. Keep it
So
going.
I'm trying to, man. I'll try to. So, but yeah, I, I got a big heart for truckers, man, and I feel like maybe people won't believe that coming from somebody who's Brokering freight. But dude, my first job when I was 12 years old was greasing, my dad's 1985 cab over international, and helping him change the oil. So I've cut my teeth in this industry, and I see a lot of guys struggling, and I feel like there's a ton of really bad information out there
Oh,
on the internet.
a lot.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Awesome.
So yeah, more people like you and I need to help drivers understand the value of building relationships and building a business that way. So
Cool. All right, man. We'll catch up again. We'll see it. We'll keep track of how this busloads.ai is doing, and good luck
Sweet.
on your TikTok channel, bro. Keep it going. If you need any help, man, just you got my information. Hit me up, and if there's something I could help with, any kind of like media shit or
appreciate
anything,
that.
and just let me know. I got no problem helping out, bro.
Likewise.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Okay. See ya.
Later.